All right, let's talk about a drug that's, well, it's both a hero and a villain in the world of medicine. For decades, it was this incredible lifeline against some really devastating viruses, but it always came with a dark side. This is the story of Ribavirin.
I mean, really think about that for a second. A virus gets inside your cells. It starts using your own body's machinery to make millions of copies of itself. How in the world do you fight that? It's like trying to find an intruder in your house who looks and acts exactly like a member of your family. How do you take out the bad guy without causing a ton of collateral damage? That's the fundamental puzzle.
For a very long time, one of the best answers we had was this drug, Ribavirin. It's a synthetic molecule, totally made in a lab, and it acts like a kind of sleeper agent. See, it's inactive when you take it, it's what we call a prodrug, but once it gets inside your body, it activates and transforms into this relentless virus-fighting machine. And its history in medicine, well, it's long, and it is absolutely crucial.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down its whole story. We'll look at what makes it such a powerhouse, then we'll get into the really cool part, its unique way of attacking viruses. We'll see where it's used, talk about the serious price of that power, and finally, we'll see what its legacy looks like today.
Okay, let's just dive right in. First thing you need to know is that ribavirin isn't some brand new discovery. Not at all. It was actually synthesized way back in the early 1970s, so it's a real veteran in the world of antiviral therapy.
Its power really comes from its versatility. It's what's called a nucleoside analogue, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a master of disguise. It mimics the building blocks that viruses need to replicate, and it's broad spectrum, which means it doesn't just work on one type of virus, but a whole range of them. For years, this made it completely indispensable in the fight against hepatitis C, and it's still vital today for really serious infections, like severe RSV in infants.
So you might be wondering, how does one drug manage to fight so many different enemies? Well, this is where ribavirin's strategy gets really clever. It doesn't just have one trick up its sleeve. It launches a full-scale assault from a bunch of different angles.
You see, ribavirin's genius is this four-pronged attack. First, it uses mimicry, disguising itself as one of those viral building blocks. Then comes the corruption. It uses that disguise to get inside and totally sabotage the virus's genetic blueprints. After that, it moves on to starvation, by depleting the supply of other materials the virus needs to survive. And for the final blow, it provides an immune boost, actually helping your own body's defenses join the fight more effectively. It's this whole combined assault that makes it so incredibly hard for viruses to handle.
But let's zoom in on that second step, the corruption, because this part is just brutally effective. The drug gets incorporated right into the virus's genetic code while it's trying to make copies. The problem is, it's a faulty part. It introduces so many errors, so many mutations, that the new viruses that get made are basically duds. They just don't work. This triggers a catastrophic chain reaction, something scientists call lethal mutagenesis, and it causes the entire viral population to just collapse under the weight of its own mistakes. And this illustrates that deception perfectly. Over on the left, you've got guanosine. That's a normal, healthy puzzle piece the virus needs. But on the right, you've got ribavirin, the imposter. It looks just similar enough to get invited to the party, but once it's inside that assembly line, it's not just a faulty piece, it's a saboteur. It corrupts the entire process from the inside out, causing the virus to effectively self-destruct.
Now, as you can probably imagine, a weapon this powerful is not something you use for, say, the common cold. Its deployment has to be very specific, and it's carefully managed by doctors who are constantly weighing the benefits against some pretty serious risks.
And its role has really evolved over time. For decades, it was the absolute star player in hepatitis C treatment. Today, that role is smaller, but it's become this specialist tool for some of the most dangerous situations imaginable. We're talking severe RSV infections in babies and life-threatening diseases like Lassa fever. It's the drug you call in when the stakes couldn't possibly be higher.
And that brings us to the dark side of our hero. This is the heavy price of treatment. Because, well, a drug that can interfere so profoundly with how a virus replicates can also cause some serious collateral damage in the process.
To really understand the risks, you have to know this one number, 40 days. That's ribavirin's half-life. That means it takes over a month for your body to get rid of just half of the drug. It's an incredibly long time, and it lingers because it actually builds up inside your red blood cells. Think of it like a dye that stains everything it touches. That persistence is what makes it such a powerful virus killer, but it's also the source of its danger.
So, the most common and significant side effect is something called hemolytic anemia. Because the drug accumulates in red blood cells, it actually causes them to break apart and die way too early. This leads to anemia, which can cause severe fatigue and a host of other complications. It means patients need constant monitoring, and sometimes their doses have to be lowered.
But the most serious warning, the one that truly defines Ribavirin's dark side, is this. It's a pregnancy Category X drug. That is the FDA's highest, most severe risk category. It's not a suggestion. It is a black and white warning that says the risk of using this drug during pregnancy absolutely far outweighs any possible benefit.
And the reason for this is stark. The drug is profoundly teratogenic. It can cause severe birth defects or even fetal death. And here is the absolutely critical part that everyone needs to understand. This risk applies to both partners. Because the drug hangs around in the body for so long, it can be present in both eggs and sperm. That means both men and women on this treatment must use extremely strict contraception, not just during the therapy, but for a full 6 months after taking the very last dose.
So where does all of this leave Ribavirin today? Well, it's still a hero, but maybe a hero that's in semi-retirement. Its role has changed pretty dramatically, but it definitely has not disappeared.
Newer, safer, and frankly more effective drugs have taken over as the go-to treatment for hepatitis C. But Ribavirin is still that specialist that gets called off the bench for the absolute toughest cases, for patients who have failed other treatments or have advanced liver disease. In those situations, adding Ribavirin to the mix can be the one thing that makes the difference between a relapse and a cure.
So this is really the final tale of the tape. On one side, you've got the hero, this broad-spectrum agent that fights some of the world's most difficult viruses and even gives our own immune system a boost. And on the other side, you've got the hazard, significant side effects, anemia, and that profound Category X warning that puts it among the most dangerous drugs out there when it comes to pregnancy.
And that really leaves us with this final critical question. When you're facing a life-threatening virus, and you have a tool in front of you that is both incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous, how do you make that choice? It's a perfect example of the unbelievably complex decisions that doctors and patients have to face every single day, trying to find that delicate balance between a cure and its cost.